Hello, and welcome to what's already a new set, because my bedroom currently looks like this. Some of you may already know this, but from the year 2007 to 2009, my family and I lived in Vienna, Austria, where basically we had an amazing time. Roll cringy preteen photos. We also had a quick trip back to Austria for Christmas in 2017, and it was just as lovely as I'd remembered it. So it was no surprise to me when just a couple of weeks ago, Austria was once again awarded the title of Most Livable City in the World by the EIU. It scored a whopping 99.1 out of 100 when they looked at variables like its stability, healthcare, culture, environment, education, and infrastructure. And even though I left Vienna 10 years ago, that decade-old memory is enough to help me see why. See, everything in Austria, but especially in the capital, just sort of works. And once you've lived in such a well-run city, it's quite hard not to compare others to it. Of course, nowhere's perfect. I just think we could all take note of what Vienna does so well. For example, the city is full of domestic gardens, parks, and woodlands. And I haven't forgotten my high school geography classes just yet. I know that green spaces like these not only promote local wildlife, but also increase the health and well-being of people living in urban areas. They've even been linked to reduced depression and decreased crime rates. And from my own experiences, it's not hard to see why at all. See, we lived in the second district of Vienna, Leopoldstadt, which is also home to the local park, the Prater. This park is approximately twice the size of Central Park in New York City, and it's also where you can find the Wiener Riesenrad, the famous wheel that towers over the city, basically. It's even in The Third Man, if you've seen that film. And we lived so close to the park that we could actually see that wheel from our balcony. It was so pretty. It only took us about 7 minutes to walk to the park, and once we were there we had so many options for ways to unwind, whether it was going to the BMX park and failing at, well, everything, occasionally going to the fun fair that's attached to the park, or even just having a picnic by the water. Or there were even little playgrounds that were hidden amongst the trees that only the ones in the know could find. And that's just in the city centre. If we travelled to the southwest of Vienna, we'd end up in the Leinzer Tiergarten Wildlife Reserve, and there you could walk amongst real deer and wild boar and just play on the playgrounds and roam through the hills, and that's insane to have that in a capital city. But we did, and it was great, and it was very relaxing and very fun. So I definitely think every major city, and especially its residents, would greatly benefit from large natural areas like that. Not only does it absorb pollution, but everyone just has a good time. And in fact, the way we got to these natural areas, among other places, was another really impressive aspect of Viennese life. I mean, the public transport runs like clockwork. We didn't even have to own a car because it was so reliable and so widespread. For example, our school run was about a 60-second walk out of our apartment to one of 2 U-Bahn stations on our street, and then we just get off right in front of our school and walk into school. And we also took the train to all kinds of parts of the country to ski. And we even took a train to Venice one time because it's easy and it works. And yes, that is a bit of a cursed image. Additionally, and probably because so few people even need cars, cycling is taken very seriously in Vienna. That's bonus points for the health of the planet and the humans. Yay! I guess the best way to explain the mindset is if you accidentally stepped onto a cycle path, it would be deemed as stupid as stepping into the middle of a busy road. And even when I was 9, I had people shout at me if I accidentally crossed over that line dividing the normal pedestrians on the pavement and the cycle path. But it isn't a case of Viennese cyclists being overly aggressive or anything like that. They just follow the rules. It's like people using the London Underground when they go up the escalators. And of course, Viennese people have rules for escalators too. I don't think I knew anyone that didn't own a bike, but there were still bike rental services for free dotted all across the city for anyone who might need them. And the cycle paths are so established and widespread that you could easily cycle along the whole length of the country, or even along the Danube into Slovakia. I mean, I never did, but you could. Cycling isn't the only way Vienna stays connected to other places. It's also super cosmopolitan. 38.8% of its population is not Austrian. It's home to one of 4 major United Nations offices in the world, and it also has 10 international schools, including the UN one I went to. I'm both Romanian and English, and I can honestly say I never felt any kind of prejudice against either of my nationalities while I was at VIS, which I can't really say for some of the other schools I've been to. And I think I probably had the most diverse friend group of any country I've lived in while I was in Vienna. I mean, your background just didn't matter because why would it? Everyone just mixed in and got along, and I think that should be the case in every city and in every school. And yet, as the world and this city become increasingly homogenized, Vienna also manages to cherish its culture and traditions. The architecture is painstakingly maintained, the art is always celebrated, and the holidays joyously honoured. You see that? That's me dressed up as Jack Sparrow for Fasching, a festivity I didn't even know existed until we moved to Austria. And I'm still pretty proud of that outfit, even though one boy at school asked me why I was dressed up as a boy. I mean, my answer should have been, why the heckety heck not, bro? Anyway, back to my point. From the imposing Stephansdom to the thinnest slice of Sachertorte, the Viennese remain proud of their history, and they have every right to. And in fact, I think every city should learn to embrace its own heritage, because that's what makes us all unique. You know, Vienna is so great that I could easily talk for hours, but I think we've got a good number of points here. And I suppose the main takeaway is just that we should care for our environment. And not just on a global scale, however important that may be, but also in terms of the space immediately around us. Whether that's planting a few more trees or celebrating our cultural identities, I think we can all work together to represent the communities we come from. And that's really important. And if the Viennese can do it, why not us?